impactful player who really helped the Steelers. I think he should have went higher. To me, I think he's better than Ansah, but he just didn't fit the Lions scheme. And I think he's. I don't know if he's better than Deion Jordan's more versatile, and that's why. But I think Jarvis Jones is gonna be a great player.
Well, Jordan can play end or linebacker, so I like the pick. I think it was a steal.
Mm-hmm.
So, what 7 picks did you get correct? Because we both got the 1 and 2.
I got the Fisher. No, I didn't get the 2. I had Deion Jordan going to the Jaguars.
Yeah, I got 1 and 2.
I had the Fisher pick. I had the Ansah pick to the Lions. I had the Cooper to the Cardinals. I had the Warmack to the Titans. I believe it was the Star pick to the Panthers, and then it was the DeAndre Hopkins to the Texans, and then Desmond Trufant to the Falcons. So, I mean, there were some good ones. I also had Eddie Lacy going to the Packers, but it was a first-round mock, so it doesn't count. But there were some picks that I could see going either way. A team that I really was interested, that really filled some needs. I love Ozzie Newsome and the Baltimore Ravens, what they did, getting Matt Elam, the safety out of Florida, replacing Ed Reed. He'll go next to Marcus Huff, the former safety of the Oakland Raiders. And then in the second round, filling the need where they lost from the retirement of the legend Ray Lewis, they got Arthur Brown, brother of Bryce Brown, running back of the Eagles. Yes, he is. They both were playing in college together last year. I think he's a big-time player, and I really think he's going to come and help because Rolando McClain got arrested again. He has so many off-the-field issues that I just don't think he's going to play. And they could have went Kevin Minter here. They could have went Manti. They just couldn't have went Ogletree. He was the only inside linebacker taken. They could have got many ways, but Ozzie liked Elam, what he saw, a hard-hitting safety.
Yeah, that's a smart
It's a good pick. It's a really solid pick, and I really think they really did a good job. In the beginning of the offseason, during free agency, when they lost all those players, I was thinking, how are they supposed to recover from this? And again, Ozzie proves everybody wrong. Best front office general manager in the league. That's just my opinion. Really doing a great job here, getting some key positions filled.
Yeah, alright, so I never said who I got. My mock draft. I got the first 2 picks. Then I got Ziggy Ansah, number 5. Then Then I had Hopkins to the Texans and Reed to the 49ers.
That was a good pick. That was a smart one. The 49ers traded up to get him. They lost to Sean Golson. I had kept having them get a defensive tackle. First it was Jesse Williams, then Sylvester Williams. Eric Reed's a hard-hitting safety. That's what I really like about these safeties is they're big-time tacklers. This guy's big, and he can really help fill the hole of Deshaun Golson leaving to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go next to Dante Whitner. And I think it's a really good pick. And that was a smart one by you, taking a chance on that one because, I mean, they could have went many ways there, but that was a smart pick.
Well, so then they did go... And in the second round, they got Tankard Carradine.
I think he's going to start.
Yeah.
I think he's going to beat out Ahmad Brooks.
Maybe.
On the opposite of Alden
Brooks
Smith.
An outside linebacker? Yeah, but
he pass rushes.
They run an amazing 3-4.
He's going to be good.
So,
and also they got Corny Latimore from Auburn. I think that's his name. How do you pronounce his name? Lamonier out of Auburn.
Like that.
I really like that guy.
Then you got Quentin Patton, receiver. I love their draft too, and Lattimore.
They did get Quentin Patton, did they? Lattimore, I'm really interested to see their running back situation with Frank Gore. They have Kendall Hunter, and they also have LaMichael James.
And they got a
you bring him
in.
Too,
they had so many picks.
Not Zach Dyser.
DJ Daniels.
Yes, Zach Dyser went to the Denver Broncos. That's an interesting pick.
Yeah, but he's not going to really do much.
No.
Well, unless he gets formed into a quarterback bet once Peyton Manning retires.
I don't know. What about Brock Osweiler? That's who they brought in last year. Sean Phillips. They got in a trade.
Oh, yeah.
They brought over from the San Diego Chargers to go on the other side of Von Miller, replacing Dumervil.
I was still talking about the 49ers. They got tight end McDonald to replace
Delaney Walker. That's a good pick. I mean, both the 49ers and Ravens did what they had to do to fill the needs. They both don't. The 49ers don't have many needs, so I think it's a good pick. And also the Denver Broncos going Sylvester Williams in the first round got a defensive tackle, so they filled the void of the defensive line through a trade and the draft.
You know, I think drafted really well. Les Snead and the Rams, Tavon Austin and Alec Ogletree. They traded back with the 49ers and still managed to get Ogletree, which was great. But then they got the safety, which they needed, in T.J. McDonald, who you were a big fan of out of USC, so I liked their pick. They also helped out a little bit for Bradford, and got Bailey, the receiver, out of West Virginia. So
yeah, they did a really good job. I was kind of surprised they didn't go running back. I mean, they do like Sheldon Richardson, not Sheldon Richardson, Daryl Richard. What is his name?
Daryl Richardson.
Daryl Richardson.
Yeah.
And they also have Isaiah Peed, but they could have won Eddie Lacy. They could have won. I want to talk about Giovanni Bernard real fast, going off the Rams. What does this mean for BenJarvus Green-Ellis?
There's a funny story about what's his name? Daryl Richardson. I don't know if you listened to that podcast.
Yes, I did.
Where
I did.
When
Under the table during a tornado.
There's a tornado, and they
On the phone.
stayed to get
I need Daryl
Daryl
Richardson.
So, but back to what you were saying. Well,
I mean, BenJarvus. I think it's a good duo.
because he's a speedy outside.
Yeah,
guy.
you got the power and you got the speed, but I just think it takes a lot of carries away. I mean, BenJarvus
talk
Green-Ellis broke over 1,000
fantasy-wise.
yards last year.
Talk
That's really what I'm
fantasy-wise, 'cause
thinking
you're
right
a big
now.
fan of him. You
I
had
had
last year
yeah.
helping you win championship in our dynasty league.
Yes.
So
It just I think it's a good pairing, but I just think it's really gonna hurt BenJarvus Green-Ellis because he broke over 1,000 yards last year, and to me, I think he's going to go back to his dominant red zone touches and touchdowns. But Giovanni Bernard, I think, is going to be a big part of this offense. And first running back taken, that was kind of a surprise. And I really like what the Bengals did. They don't have many holes, and they got 2 more weapons for Andy Dalton. I really like Tyler Eifert's got big size. To me, I really didn't do much on Zach Ertz. Now, obviously, watching him as the Eagles took him, I really am interested to see how these two really do in the season.
I really like the Bengals. What they've been doing, 2 playoff appearances. I mean, Dalton's.
They just gotta get past that
Dalton's
next
not
round.
a great elite quarterback, but he gets the job done. I love AJ Green. I think he's so good.
They also got a guy that can really help the receiving core in the late rounds, Colby Hamilton, the receiver from Arkansas. I've been looking at this guy's film throughout the offseason, and I really like this guy, and I think he can come in and be the slot guy. You put Mohamed Sanu on the outside across from AJ Green and have Hawkins and Colby Hamilton. That's a really underrated pick, I think, as well.
Yeah, well, then they had 2 second-round picks, and they got Marcus Hunt, who was
That's a good pick.
some people had him going in the first. So
They needed some pass rushing.
I
He's
love
good.
the Bengals. I really like what the Bengals are doing. And then they got Sean Williams, a safety out of Georgia. So
We were talking about this. I just feel like all these teams are improving dramatically.
Yeah,
I think a lot of these teams that you saw slump last year are going to get good fast. And I think the underrated one, and we keep bringing them up, is the Buffalo Bills. I'm just in love with EJ Manuel. This guy is amazing to me. And everyone's saying, yeah, he's raw and he's got some work with his intangibles and stuff. I think he's going to mold amazing. But then you got the Vikings coming in, the Bengals. I mean, these teams are filling their voids.
Speaking of bad teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got Joe. They didn't. So it looks like they like Gabbert, even though they had Henny.
They'll give
last
him
year.
one more. I mean, look, he's had in his 3 years 3 different head coaches. It's
Yeah.
not all on him. They're gonna give him one more year, but I still think it's gonna end
Well,
up being.
alright, so-
I just never liked him when he was in the draft, even coming in.
Yeah, they got Jokel in the first round,
Jonathan
second overall.
Cyprien.
Then they got Cyprien in the
That's a
second
good
round.
pick as a running back. That's what Rich Eisen said on the NFL draft. That's what they were drafting him as. He's listed as a receiver too, though. That's where I think he's gonna be.
Well, then they also in the 4th round, the round before, they got Ace Sanders, another receiver. So
It's not a bad pick either. I'm not very familiar with the
Yeah.
guy, but Denard Robinson's just. He's just interesting to see what he can do. He's got some work to do with his hands. Obviously, he was a quarterback from Michigan. That's an interesting pick, but I think this is going to improve the Jaguars, but not drastically. I think Jokel's going to help Gabbert. I think it's more going to help Maurice Jones-Drew.
I don't think they're gonna do good.
I'll give him. I mean, we're going to be doing our schedule rundown soon, and that's going to be interesting to see what I have.
Yeah, well,
I don't think more
I
than
have the
4
Jaguars,
wins.
don't I?
Ah, right.
Yeah, we're splitting. We're splitting this year because we.
I don't have them more than 4 wins.
No,
Not even close.
Last year you had them 3-13. I had them 2-14, and on our YouTube video, all these Jaguars fans flipped out on us. They're like,
We
"We're
got
gonna go
serious hate."
7-9," and then they go 2-14. And
We were right.
It was so funny.
That's why they call us
They were
the
flipping
Get Real Football
out.
Experts.
They were flipping out.
All right, let's stay in the AFC South, and let's go to the Tennessee Titans, and let's talk about their first pick at number 10, Chance Warmack, the guard out of Alabama.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty good pick for them, and obviously they need help. What do you think of the pick?
I think this makes Chris Johnson back to an elite running back. I
Well, yeah.
really do, because you got Andy Levitra on the other guard side that you got from the Bills in free agency.
Yeah.
Oh
no, they
man.
got-
I think Johnson's, and I think the whole Sean Green thing, I think it's kind of overhyped. I think
is.
people are thinking, oh, now Chris Johnson's they're gonna split 50-50. No, they're not. Look, I think Sean Green's gonna get the 3rd and 1s. I think he's gonna come in he's a situational running back. I don't think he's gonna take many snaps away from Chris Johnson.
Yeah, well,
I think he's gonna have a bounce back
When
year.
you're talking like snaps away, you're talking fantasy. I'm sure you're a big fantasy
I
guy.
love fantasy.
You do write fantasy for GetRealFootball.com, which
I
is
love
what
me
we were
some
doing
fantasy.
this podcast for. So
Chance, I mean, this is a huge pick. I mean, Chance Warmack, to me, on NFL.com, they had him graded as the best player in the draft. Obviously, he's a guard, so you're not going to
I
see
like
him go
Cooper
that
better
high.
than Warmack.
I do too, based on athleticism. And I think he also is a better pass protector, getting to that second level and also helping the run game.
Well,
I think it's an interesting spot too.
9, 10, and 11 all went to 9, 10, and 11 all went to Alabama with Dean Leonard.
Oh yes, you're right. Yeah, that's
Cooper, so-
interesting too.
Yeah,
Let's stay in the division. Let's go to Colts.
Colts.
Bjorn Moore, the German
I can pull them up, see
from Florida State.
everyone who exactly they got, but
They lost Dwight Freeney, and I think this is a huge holding. 13 sacks in the SEC last year. Also had on the opposite side Tank Carradine, so he was part of a good defense, obviously with Xavier Rhodes too. But I think he's going to come in. I think he's going to be a big time impact. Have a big time impact on this division to really help the Colts get back to the playoffs.
yeah, well they didn't have a second round pick, and then in the third one they got Hugh Thornton, an offensive lineman out of Illinois,
Which they also need offensive linemen. Luck got beat up pretty bad last year.
and then not a lot of big names. They just got
Yeah.
shirt up their line, and they got a running back, but he really shouldn't do much. He might get cut
Yeah.
a while, so who knows?
Yeah, it's.
But I like what they did in free agency too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they brought in Hayward Bay, and
They addressed the offensive line in
and
a
they
good
got
way.
Lauren Landry, right? Yeah.
Yes, they did. The safety position. I think they did a really good job, but
Now they're just gonna build around Luck.
oh yeah.
I love Luck.
They're-
He's so good.
I think it's fun to watch how all these young quarterbacks coming in because I can name you got Kaepernick, Luck, RG3, Wilson. Now the two rookies coming in I think are going to have an impact. Gino and Manuel, Dalton. It's becoming half the league has these young quarterbacks that just have really been overplaying what people expect of them. Forgot to mention Cam Newton. I mean, it's just an incredible, and I think Cam Newton's really been in the shadow based on all these.
I think Cam Newton is really underrated now. I mean, he shouldn't be.
Do you think that this quarterback class is going to pan out to be as
No.
bad as it was
Oh, it's
career-wise? Like during the season, like in
well, I
5 years down the road, are they going to be saying, "Yeah, this class was just as bad as the people were saying"?
Well, I mean, it's not as big as a role as last year. I mean, last year there were so many starters. There was Luck, there was Griffin, there was Wilson, there was Tannehill, there was Whedon. A lot of starters. Now might be one. There might not even be a starter. There's no
Maybe.
definite starter.
I mean, you're going to see
Well,
guys
you're gonna
coming
see
in during
Manuel
the season.
start
Yeah,
pretty much, and you're gonna see Gino start.
I think you're also going to see Barkley too.
But Luck is starting. Luck is going to
Oh,
start.
yeah, yeah.
Was going to start. So is Griffin. No quarterback is a definite start. So
But I think the Bills and the Jets are looking at it.
yeah,
They're looking at the guys like Luck and already saying these guys started week 1 and look at the impact they had. You don't
Oh,
always
yeah.
have to sit them behind guys.
yeah, they're gonna start.
And how much is Manuel? I think Gino's going to learn if he sits behind Sanchez. He's going to learn what not to do, not what to do. Because
And how is
you're not in the Rodgers
a mobile
position.
cornerback like EJ Manuel gonna learn from a brick
Not yet.
wall of Kevin
I
Bell?
agree, and unless Tavares Jackson starts, which I just don't think
He's
that's
too dumb to teach anyone.
exactly. I mean that yes, and I think it's just interesting to
He wasn't
see.
eligible for half the year last year because he couldn't get the playbook down.
Let's go to an interesting pick in the 3rd round. Mike Glennon, the quarterback of NC State, going to the Tampa Bay
Dumb.
Buccaneers in Freeman's contract year. I think this sends a message to Freeman because he underplayed. They didn't give him the contract extension, and they're pretty much saying right here, "Show me what you
It
have."
was a
Because
stupid pick.
I don't know. Because if Freeman does not
Yeah,
play
they
to his
should've got-
potential
they
this year,
should've got a
they
quarterback.
might let
They
him
should've got
go.
Barkley or Nassib, or even Tyler Brett or Tyler Wilson.
Okay, yeah. That. By the way, Tyler Bray did not get drafted.
He didn't.
Nope, dropped out. He is well. I don't mean he dropped out. He dropped out all the way. He's a free agent right now.
That's weird.
Someone's gonna bring him in, but when you see people like
Was he a senior last year?
yes, he was.
Because if not, he could just go back.
I think his character. I think he was raw.
Well, out of Tennessee, I mean, he was one of those big brick walls, like I just said. He's not mobile at all, and
Yeah, but his
big
arm.
arm, big arm.
I think
kinda
I
like
do
him
agree
better
with
than
you.
Glennon. I like him a little bit better than.
I do agree with you with the player that the Buccaneers picked, but I like the
Oh, no,
position.
they should have got a quarterback.
I
They're
really
sending
like
a
that
message.
sending. I think it's
Freeman
strong.
Freeman's just been there. He really hasn't done anything to
That
stand
one
out.
year they went 10-6 and missed by the playoffs by tiebreaker, but
they had
everything
a
else he's
pretty
just
good- They had a
underplayed.
pretty good year last year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they
just kind of got
improved.
screwed with their schedule. They had a tough end.
It's just with Freeman, you're looking for the consistency, and I think that's why they want to bring in competition with Glennon. But right, like you said, I mean, if you're going to do that, bring in a guy that you think that can. I mean, obviously they think this guy can make an impact on their team. He does fit the system. I think. He could give the ball to Vincent Jackson. I think he can rocket the ball. It reminds me of Joe Flacco. Physique wise, I don't know if he's going to come in and have that kind of an impact. Super Bowl MVP. You're talking about Flacco, but you're right. I mean, they could have went Barkley. They could have went Nassib. It was interesting to see, but really interesting to look at Glennon going to the Buccaneers, and I can't wait to see how that pans out.
I don't think it's going to have too much of an effect next year.
Yeah, maybe not next
even
year,
if he
but
gets,
to make it a
even if
break it year.
Freeman gets hurt, I mean, you're still going to get to see him.
Also, don't forget Dan Orlovsky. I saw a tweet. People saying this Glennon pick's more of a threat to Orlovsky than Freeman, not believing in what Glennon can
Speaking
do.
of the Bucks, LeGarrette Blount to the Jets? No,
Patriots.
Right,
They got an Olympic stud, Demps, instead, the 7th round pick.
No, I believe I got.
Demps?
No, you're right about that.
Oh yeah.
An undrafted free agent signed with the 49ers, I think.
Oh yeah, he was a British Olympian.
Yeah.
That's what I read too on the Bleacher Report. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, right. It's interesting. I don't know if LeGarrette Blount's gonna be, but I want to talk about the Buccaneers' 2nd round pick in Jonathan Banks, the corner out of Mississippi State, to go across from Darrelle Revis. I think it's a really good pick. He's a physical guy, and to me, the secondary just went from the worst to one of the best. You got Mark Barron and Deshaun Golson as your 2 safeties, and Revis and Jonathan Banks. Wow, that's an improvement over a year.
Well, here I'll pull out their complete draft and who they got.
Also, a guy, Jonathan Banks' teammate, Darius Slay, went ahead of him, the corner
Yeah,
from Mississippi
surprising.
State, to the Detroit Lions, who desperately needed a corner. Their secondary is, to me, the second worst in the league,
Well, yeah,
behind
there's
the
talk
Buccaneers.
about them getting Milner in the first round.
But they got to, I mean, that's, yeah, I think that would have been a smart,
down.
to me, that would have been a smarter pick. Because I'm just scared of what Ansah, I mean, he's just so raw. He's played 10 football games in his career, in his life.
Well, started.
Yeah.
He's only played for a couple of years.
Out of BYU, but
The
back
Bucs
to the corner,
the
back
Bucs
to the
didn't have that
Buccaneers.
first, so, and then third they got Glennon, then they got Akeem Spence, just a D lineman, and then
What's that?
what?
A UB player taken, the University of Buffalo. We're gonna be referring to Buffalo because that's where we're from. But
Yeah, that's where
a UB taker, I did not see that.
yeah,
but,
like Steven Means, a defensive end, he's gonna get cut.
Ooh.
Like, he might only make the roster.
yeah,
He's
that's
like
true.
a-
That's true.
a UB, so
Yeah,
yeah.
But-
Who's that one good player who actually might be good?
Khalil Mack
Well, the
decided
first
to stay.
overall pick was from the MAC.
That's it. Yeah, that is true. I mean, SEC obviously had the most picks, but the number 1 overall pick representing the MAC. Thank you, Eric Fisher.
I don't like the MAC.
Joe Staley also went to Central Michigan, might I add. So
Do you
I
actually
mean,
watch the UB games?
a couple. It's disappointing.
You've been to a couple.
College football, yeah. College football is just. I mean, I do it pretty much for the draft now.
I prefer Cuse because I'm a huge Cuse basketball fan, but I also enjoy watching like
They had some good players taken.
yeah,
Justin Pugh,
Q and
Ryan
Nassib, the
Nassib,
Giants.
also Shimako Thomas
the
taken
safety?
right at, yep, the safety. Went to the, what is that? I don't believe I remember. But
I like
they
watching
traded
college
up.
basketball, football though. Just the ranked teams. It's
Look
fun to
out
watch.
next year's draft. Let's go off the 2013 draft for a second. I'm just gonna be so interested with this. Clowney, the defensive end for South Carolina.
Bridgewater, the quarterback out of
Johnny Manziel.
LSU?
He's
Or
from.
not,
Is he eligible next year?
yeah,
Johnny Manziel.
if he wants to enter, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. If he like does a luck approach. He's a freshman. He's a freshman right now. Well, he's going into a sophomore year.
And people are saying he's slinging it in the spring practices and the spring game. He's working on his mechanics, sitting in the pocket. Oh man! And then you got Aaron Murray out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Clowney though, back from South Carolina, defensive end.
Well, I
To
know
me, he's the first overall pick.
you've been
He's
talking
amazing.
Teddy Bridgewater out of Louisville up like crazy. But then,
If you watch his film, this guy, and it's not that when you see him, not to be stereotypical, but you think the guy with his physique would be like an amazing mobile guy. They're going to be comparing to Cam Newton, RG3. This guy, all he does is rocket the ball. When you watch him, instead of after his first read escaping from the pocket, he's stepping up and he's rocketing the ball. He should be the first overall pick. This guy is going to be incredible, and I can see the Jacksonville Jaguars might be getting him with the first overall pick. But to me, he's better than Manziel. He's better than any quarterback I've watched in this draft. Or
Well, also
it's incredible.
Also, Daniel Jeremiah talked about him.
That, and I'm not going to take the credit for Teddy Bridgewater because that is where I found out about him. All I heard was the name of Teddy Bridgewater. Then I did some research on him and I looked him up. Daniel Jeremiah knows what he's talking about. Which, here's a question: what coverage did you like better, NFL Network's or ESPN's?
Well, at the Bills Stadium,
Watching both, I know you did. That's why.
at Ralph Wilson, they had ESPN on, but they didn't show the whole draft there because it's just for the Bills. So when I got home, it was I think 27th pick, and I watched the rest of NFL Network.
I liked
To say I liked ESPN better.
really.
Unfortunately,
To me, I
love the analysts.
I spent
But
all
when-
off season with NFL Network, and that's why I
Yeah,
really
well, so
enjoyed
do
it.
I, but because but
I
when
like
you're
the
at-
jingle on ESPN.
Yeah, but when you're when you're hanging around on the
Well, yeah,
Bills Stadium, you don't really listen to what they're talking about.
that's
So-
true. The template was better but NFL Network's analysts are really good. Ian Rappaport reporting these trades and everything. It was interesting to see what all these people were doing in it. Great draft. It was really surprising.
Mm-hmm.
A ton of crazy picks. Some you knew about, but really in the end, this is gonna be a draft people are gonna be talking about for a while.
Yeah. All right, so that's gonna do it for this edition of the Get Real Football Experts. We'll be back for another podcast on Tuesday, and then within the next couple of days, we'll be jumping into our schedule rundowns. I'll be doing 16 teams. Louis will be doing 16 teams. We might
The
have some
season
guests,
is
but-
right around the corner.
well, kind of, but
It's coming there.
Yeah,
we're
so-
365 football fans,
yeah,
so it's coming.
So follow me on Twitter at Dave Crest Sports for all sports updates, NFL, everything, and then of course
Follow me at
Louis.
DB Sports Talk. Check out our articles, by the way, at Get Real Football. Dave covers all things NFL. I'm more of a fantasy guy, but I'll be doing football stuff as
And
well.
Bills I also cover. So
Yeah.
check out GetRealFootball.com if you're not there right now. If you're on iTunes or on YouTube. So
Or the website, of course.
all right. So then we'll see you back on Tuesday for another podcast.
See you later.